just so that we've got Liv today. So Liv is doing our seventh webinar in our Evercare webinar series around sustainability. Welcome to anybody who hasn't been on any of our webinars before. The Lunch and Learns are a great opportunity to sort of share best knowledge across the business, to give you a little bit more information around sustainability. We are celebrating 50 years this year, and today's session, which is our seventh session in our 50 sessions this year, is going to be hosted by Liv, who's joining us today to talk about greenwashing, how to avoid it, how to see what it is, and what to do about it. So I'm going to hand over to you, Liv. I'm going to help with any questions in the background because Jez isn't with us today. So I will shout them out, Liv, to you as we go through if anybody comes up with anything, or if anybody has anything that they want to pick up offline, just pick your hand up or chuck it in the message box if that's okay. We are being recorded. It's automatic today to record, and it will be saved afterwards and then popped onto GC University for everybody to view if you want to, or you want to share it across the business with any colleagues or friends that you think might be interested but haven't managed to join us today. Liv, over to you.
Well, thank you very much. So yeah, just a quick introduction. I'm Olivia. I sit in the environmental team as an environmental assistant. So yeah, as Justine said, there we go. Yeah, over the next half an hour, we'll talk a little bit more about what is greenwashing, how to spot that, and the best way to sort of do that is to have some real-world examples of things that have been in the news, and then tips for you to take away, how to avoid greenwashing, and then a little quiz at the end to refresh everything. So looking across the whole webinar series that we are doing at the moment, greenwashing comes into all of these. So across those 7 habits that we're promoting and also the 4 areas of our environment and sustainability strategy, we need to be considering greenwashing where this could be occurring. And the first step really is just learning more about it and how to spot. So first of all, start off with a definition. So greenwashing is an attempt to make people believe that your company is doing more for the environment than what it really is. So that's really in a nutshell, but essentially companies could be putting less effort into credible, sustainable actions and actually more effort into marketing and more effort in appearing more sustainable than what they actually are. So when we talk about green claims, so the sustainability claims, lots of businesses will use these to help market the products, the services they offer, as well as their company as a whole. Ground Control ourselves, we make these sustainability claims as well. And this is important. This is to remember, this is not just the statements that a company makes, but it's actually maybe the symbols, the logos, graphics, colors that are used as well. In this slide alone, for example, you can see I've gone for some green tones and a nice, lovely image of a bee. So this all fits into what could be put down as a sustainability, a green claim. However, when we have greenwashing is where these green sustainable claims are not backed up by action. So these claims are unsubstantiated and they can mislead customers. Maybe we've got information that is actually untrue, information that a business is hiding or misrepresenting. So for Ground Control, when we make these sustainable green claims to avoid greenwashing, we make sure we're backing these up with actions, with evidence. So why do companies greenwash? Companies greenwash to appeal to our consumers, our beliefs and emotions. You can see this is a screenshot at the top here from a report that was done. It was done in America, but I feel like it's still sort of representative. And you can see across all the different generations that people are interested in the environment and sustainability of the products, the services that we're investing in, but are actually willing to pay more for a product, a service that is sustainable. So companies can really appeal to these beliefs and emotions and maintain their sales, increase their sales. It's just worth maybe caveating here that not all companies greenwash maliciously. Often companies can do this just through a misunderstanding from the marketer's end. It's quite common that happens. So how might companies greenwash here? So companies can often highlight positive environmental facts whilst intentionally avoiding any negative. So they're very selective in what they do disclose. So an example of this may be electric cars. So it's great, we're using less fuel and petrol, we're reducing emissions, sort of using the electric car. But actually the battery, it has to go through from manufacture, as mining is really destructive for the environment, but then also at the end of life for the battery, there's lots of toxic and like rare metals that are used in the battery. So actually, sort of across the whole profile, the whole life cycle of the product, the companies are sort of disclosing the best bits of information. Companies can greenwash through symbolic actions. For example, a company might draw attention to often minor positive actions rather than changing its overall environmental impact. Example of this could be an oil company has spilled a load of oil into the ocean, but then they donate some money to a animal welfare charity or part of the cleanup. So that's where you can see those symbolic actions are quite meaningless in the wider environmental picture. Companies may greenwash through hidden trade-offs. So companies may advertise new things and green changes they've made whilst ignoring or just not publicising its actual negative effects. For example, Starbucks introduced straw-free lids to avoid plastic. Sounds great. However, the new design for the lid without the straw actually used more plastic than the one before. So then you're really questioning what impact has Starbucks really made there. Another way that a company could greenwash is through a lack of proof. So this could really be that a company is making claims about the word that you often see as a sort of a red flag for greenwashing is that the product, the business is eco-friendly. It's quite vague. There's no sort of certification to back that up, no evidence to back up those claims. And again, companies can be really vague as well, making really broad statements. Those buzzwords, the key one is really eco-friendly, green, or for example, recyclable as well. So the issue with being vague about that is I picked up a packet of razors recently and it said recyclable on the front, but it wasn't actually clear whether that was talking about the actual razors or the packaging of the razors. It wasn't being clear around sort of what was the meaning of recyclable there. Often companies can make irrelevant claims. So these claims are true, however, they're sort of irrelevant when it comes to the wider environmental impact. For example, an aerosol spray could be advertised as CVC free, which it sounds great. However, this is actually just basic legal compliance, and these gases have been banned since the 70s, 80s to sort of help the whole the ozone hole. Often, again, companies can use meaningless labels, so those green speak is often what it's termed. You often see companies say this is vegan approved, but actually don't have the stamp that says this is approved by the Vegan Society. Another one that is common is overinflated phrases, where companies say things that are technically true, but a consumer has a skewed perception of the truth. So the best example I could think of for this is a clothing company says they're now making their t-shirts with 50% more recycled fibers, which sounds great. However, if your starting amount is 2-3% recycled fibers, you can see that change actually isn't that great, and that company sort of overinflated those benefits. And again, the last one I said, it could be imagery. So visually pleasing packaging will appeal to us as consumers. We're likely to pick that up, and often there's sort of little that is to back that up. And then over the next few slides, I'm just going to highlight some of examples that have been in the news. For example, this first one is quite well known, that Volkswagen actually cheated on their emission tests. So they were fit a device into the cars, and the software could detect that the car was undergoing emission testing and then actually alter the performance of the car to reduce the emissions. Whilst this was going on and there was a case in the background, the company was still promoting the car for its low emissions, its eco-friendly features. And yeah, these marketing campaigns are obviously greenwashing, when it was actually found out the engines were actually emitting 40 times the permitted amount of nitrogen oxide pollutions. So these are sort of make up in a key component in smog. Another example of greenwashing is H&M and their H&M Conscious range. So a recent report found that 96% of H&M's sustainability claims were actually misleading, and a key focus was on their conscious choice, that range. You can see from the label there, they've been quite vague with where the materials have come from. The company was claiming to use organic cotton, recycled polyester, but weren't offering very much detail about where this was produced. The collection is very small in comparison to the full range of items that H&M offer. And H&M were still using sweatshops to actually produce these products under this sustainability label. So that's why they were criticised and sued for greenwashing for this range. Another example of H&M with greenwashing is that they have in-store recycling bins that you might have seen. It's a great way to put the clothes that you're not going to wear anymore. You receive a coupon, and then you can redeem that next time you're in store when you purchase an item. However, it was revealed that those clothing items in those recycling bins, just 35% of those items were recycled at all. So it obviously raises a lot of questions about where the rest of those clothes have gone, most likely to landfill, and that's why H&M have been criticised a lot for their green claims. Another example of greenwashing is McDonald's. So again, similar to Starbucks with their straws, ahead of the ban that we now have on plastic straws, McDonald's swapped out the plastic straws with a paper straw. If you remember back in 2018, loads of customers were complaining the straws became way too soggy too quickly and completely dissolved before you could even finish your drink. So later in 2019, McDonald's rolled out a new paper straw that was a bit stronger. It's been reinforced, and they claimed that it was still recyclable, and it was made of recyclable materials as well. However, they were criticised for greenwashing because the paper straw, once paper and cardboard become wet, you can't actually recycle it. So just like the old plastic straws, these new paper straws were also ending up in landfill. And then again, another example of McDonald's being criticised for greenwashing is their new net zero carbon restaurant. The restaurant was installed with solar panels, wind turbines, sheet wool was used to insulate the building, and even the roads around the drive-through were made of recycled tyres as well. And they received a stamp from the Green Building Council to say that the building was net zero emissions for construction. However, the reason they were criticised is that that net zero claim was just purely for the restaurant alone, and not for the wider footprint of the restaurant. So the emissions from waste were not included. The emissions from the supply chain, both upstream and downstream, were not included. For example, we think for beef, there's a huge amount of carbon and methane in beef manufacturing. So that was not considered. And also customers and employees traveling to the restaurant as well was not included in this carbon statement. So that's why they received criticism. So there's quite a lot of, it's quite technical, there's a lot of information. There are guidance and there is law out there for businesses to apply to. So a recent international analysis of websites actually found that 40% of green claims made online could be considered misleading. And that's why, I was going to say last year then, it's not last year, in 2021, the Green Claims Code was launched. And this actually takes companies to account of the green claims they're making. They can be taken to court, and they can also be dealt a fine to deal with any harm that has been caused through the breach in sustainability claims. So just a very quick overview of what the Green Claims Code is. I've got a link at the end if you want to read more into it. But businesses should be truthful, they should be accurate, and that's with claims for products, services, as well as all business activities and the business as a whole. These claims should be clear and unambiguous. We shouldn't be trying to hide or omit any information, and also be making fair, meaningful comparisons. So across the whole market, not just a selection of the market. And again, we're thinking about the EV batteries. Green claims should be made across the whole life cycle of the product. And these also should be backed up with robust, credible evidence that is up to date. So apart from the Green Claims Code, what should we be looking for when we're looking at what suppliers we work with at Ground Control, but also maybe when you're doing your food shop, your clothing shop, you know, who should we be buying from and what should we be looking out for? So clear labeling is the first one. So remember, images of wildlife, a logo with a leaf could easily convince us that we are making that environmentally friendly choice. And maybe we're not, and just those earthy tones, the green font is giving that impression that a product is good for the environment, and that we need to actually look behind these idyllic imagery, the green aesthetic, and these buzzwords as well. So yeah, so those sort of like red flags for greenwashing, I think the key ones that I would say are green and eco-friendly. As soon as I see those phrases, I want to know more information. What do they mean by that? Also, so another way is to look for products that are with a stamped with approval from a trusted third-party certification. And I've got some examples of this on the next slide, but a really well-known one, for example, is fair trade. You know that for a product to have received that fair trade stamp, they're going to have to have met a certain level of standard. And it should be really easy to find out sustainability information from a company. Companies should be really transparent. You shouldn't having to be root through on their website. This information should be fairly easy to get hold of, and the companies should be transparent. So some examples. So B Corp is now sort of widely and globally used. Ground Control ourselves, we are a B Corp. I picked up a bottle of wine just the other week in Tesco that was actually a certified B Corp as well. And again, that looks across the environmental, social and economic impact of all of that business and all of their operations. That's quite a good one to look out for. When it comes to food, the Red Tractor is another good one to look out for. Like I said, fair trade. I picked up a packet of corn, as in the meat substitute corn, and on the back they've got that Carbon Trust stamp there that you can see as well. So again, we work with the Carbon Trust at Ground Control. It means that you've measured your carbon footprint, it's been verified by Carbon Trust, and then you're actively reducing your carbon footprint as well. Some suppliers may ask us, Ground Control, to report to them on our sustainability. An example of that is through EcoVadis, in which we've got a silver rating. With suppliers that we look to work with, we often look for suppliers who are verified with the ISO 14001. Again, this looks across the whole company, the whole business operations. How are they managing their environmental risks? How are they achieving environmental objectives as well? And I've just highlighted, for example, that JLL have a annual sustainability report, really easy to find on their website and gives lots of information about what they're doing. So yeah, now I've got a few questions to open to you guys. If you use the chat box to answer them, and I should be able to just use my phone to sort of see the answers. So the first question, which of these can be considered greenwashing? So statements, images, logos, brand names, colours and artworks. Just put your answers into the chat box and I'll just have a look. Yeah, okay, yeah. Everyone's been listening, so yeah, all of them. Yeah, so yeah, all of them can be considered as greenwashing when you're making green claims. So question 2, true or false? All eco badges and eco logos are misleading and are just excuses to charge higher prices. True or false? Real, I'm seeing lots of falses coming through. So yeah, so they're a really good way to have a quick glance and see that you're making that sustainable choice as it's backed up by that badge, that logo, that external verification. So question 3, this is a tweet that Network Rail did last year. Is this advert that they're putting out there, is this a fair or unfair green claim? So you can see they're using the green font. They're saying that using rail is a good way to cut your carbon. Is this a fair or unfair green claim? Yeah, okay. Again, good. I'm seeing lots of fairs. So yeah, so this is a fair claim to make. When we look at carbon emissions, train is always a greener option. There's less emissions with using the train to transport your goods rather than by lorry or plane. So yeah, this is a fair claim from Network Rail. Question number 4. Coca-Cola have launched their new health-conscious Life drink as a low-sugar alternative to the classic Coke. Is this advert a fair or unfair green claim? So again, you can see the green font, the idyllic imagery, and they're saying that the sweetness is coming from natural sources. Yeah, yeah. And then Sam said, yeah, there's no evidence to back it up as well. So yeah, this is an unfair claim. This drink has actually now been discontinued. Coca-Cola is one of the worst plastic polluters in the world. And then to use this imagery, they were criticised for greenwashing. The drink did contain slightly less sugar. Again, when you look into it, the sort of reduction in sugar was not huge. And the last question, is this again a fair or unfair green claim? So a business makes a general comparative claim that its toothbrush X contains 50% less plastic compared to other toothbrushes on the market. But they have used a selected group. So is this a fair or unfair green claim? Well, and again, yeah, seeing lots of unfairs come through. So yeah, so you can't make a green claim when you've chosen just a select group of the market. That's going to most likely mislead consumers and is not representative of the full products on offer. So I think I'm still within time, but I just wanted to just leave with this final message that hopefully I haven't overwhelmed you with information, and that it's quite complicated subject of, what is greenwashing, what is a fair claim. But yeah, just take this new knowledge and let it empower you to make more educated decisions, and then we can hold businesses, hold companies to account to what they are saying and the green claims that they are making. And with a bit of practice, it will become second nature. So yeah, look out for those vague terms that you often see: green, eco-friendly, and then if you can, always look for the badges to sort of back it up. And just some resources at the end, which you may find useful if you want to read more about the Green Claims Code, some links there, and then also to see what companies are a certified B Corp as well. It's a good starting place to see that companies sort of met a rigid standard for sustainability. So yeah, I think that's all from me. Are there any questions?
Yeah, thanks, Liv. That was fantastic. Really interesting. There's all sorts of bits on there that I hadn't even considered would be, encapsulated into that whole greenwashing piece. So really, really useful. Certainly gives me lots of food for thought when we're going out shopping to kind of look at different alternatives and is this true, is this not true as a claim? So brilliant. Did anyone have any questions for Liv? Anyone think of anything that you would like any clarity on, or anything that you wanted to ask? What Liv's opinion is on anything?
Yeah, sure. I'll go ahead. Hi, Liv. Thanks for that. I think I have been duped by the 100% organic cotton thing on T-shirts in the past. So you're saying potentially look at the sources for that. How would a consumer actually, when they're in the store, they see a label like that? How would you actually follow that up and make a decision if the information's not on the label there?
The best place to start is a company's website. Again, like I said, the information should be easy to find. If their company is not trying to hide anything, and they should be making really clear statements. And now we've got this Green Claims Code that's come into practice as well. It's not just us that are asking this of businesses. There's sort of a law that's enforcing this. So I say the best place to start is a company's website for more information. And then if possible, those stamps of approval, those sort of external verification where possible.
Absolutely. Thank you for that.
Great question, Oliver. Thank you. That's really helpful. Yeah, thanks, Liv. So we are coming up to 1 o'clock. So if anyone has any more questions, pop them in the chat now, or speak out, forever hold your peace. If not, thank you very much for your sharing your lunch hour with us. Always lovely to see everybody, as always, and fantastic that we're keeping that momentum going and everyone's really involved in trying to make a difference and reduce our carbon footprint personally as well as within the business. Obviously, as a mission-led business, as Ground Control is, with the purpose of leaving a better place than we found it, a better world than we found it. It's fantastic to see so many people that are involved. So thanks, Liv. Wonderful session today. Everybody, you will be getting an email coming out from Jez over the next few days with next month's all of the labels and the titles of all of the sessions that are going to be coming up on Wednesdays then. So if there's anything that's of interest there, we'd love to see you. So make sure you stay in touch and keep joining us on Wednesdays, and let's see if we can move that dial and reduce our carbon footprint moving forward. Fabulous. Thanks then, Liv. Thanks, everybody. Have a great week. Take care. Bye-bye.